The Buddha himself had no qualms about declaring his enlightenment. On page 127 of D.T. Suzuki's Essays in Zen Buddhism, there's a verse that the Buddha exclaimed to the first person he met after his enlightenment. The first person he met was a naked ascetic. His name was Upaka. And this is what the Buddha said: "All conqueror I, knower of all, from every soil and stain released, renouncing all, from craving ceased, self-taught, whom should I master call? That which I know I learned of none. My fellow is not on the earth, of human or of heavenly birth. To equal me there is not one. I truly have attained release, the world's unequal teacher I. Alone enlightened perfectly, I dwell in everlasting peace." So no false modesty on the part of the Buddha. And the Buddha's enlightenment is described as supreme and perfect. It seems that he didn't have to do any enlightenment practice. Once he realized it, he was perfectly established in it. Whereas I think for most of us, we realize it, and it takes a while to become established in it. This is the teaching of the Yoga Vasistha. It takes practice. It can take quite a lot of practice. But that enlightenment has to happen. But establishment in that enlightenment can take a while. Now, D.T. Suzuki does not record Upaka's reaction to this verse. And if I remember correctly, I might be wrong, but if I remember correctly, I think Upaka, the naked ascetic who was on his way to Benares, the holy city, Varanasi, he was very unimpressed. He thought this fellow was rather full of himself. So this is why this story has got a ring of authenticity to it, hasn't it? And the Buddha went and sought out his companions in asceticism, and they became his first followers. So we have to acknowledge, we shouldn't be wary of acknowledging that we've touched something, that the nature of consciousness has become apparent. Because there isn't anything that you can do to become enlightened. All you can do is practice enlightenment. Vasistha said, by awakening, awakening is attained. There is no technique for awakening. It's like, what's the technique for waking up from sleep? It's something you do. There isn't some technique that you practice in order to wake up. You have to have the realization, the initial realization, which can happen at any time and at any place. I suspect it's happening several times a day in most of our lives. We miss it. We just constantly miss it. The sun shines through, but we're not seeing it, or not acknowledging it, or not appreciating it. So spiritual practice is enlightenment practice. Rama asked, when thus enlightenment itself is related to the ego sense, then it itself becomes other than enlightenment. How can such division exist in the pure, indivisible consciousness? Enlightenment is related to the ego sense in the sense that the notion of enlightenment is something created by the ego. The notion of enlightenment arises in ignorance, and this ignorance is other than enlightenment. So how can this division exist, this division of ignorance and enlightenment? Vasistha replied, the light of the enlightened itself is self-awareness. The apparent division or duality is like the wind and its movement. So just come back to self-awareness. We don't have to bother. This is enlightenment. Self-awareness is awareness of itself, not awareness of some notion of an individual. It's awareness of awareness. That's the true meaning of self-awareness. It's not awareness of self, it's awareness of awareness. So come back to that. This is knowing, this is pure knowing. And then you'll see that the apparent division or duality is like the wind and its movement. We can talk about the wind, we can talk about its movement, but they're not different. They're not different. It's like an object and its reflections. If you've got two mirrors, you can have infinite reflections which take no effort and no volition, and you can get lost in those reflections, and the object gets forgotten. This is what's happened with consciousness. It's reflected in itself countless infinities of times, and it's got lost in its own infinities. And it's forgotten its nature. So we just come back to self-awareness, and this is consciousness, pure, beyond division, beyond cognition. Ram said, if that is the truth, then is it not possible to accept the existence of diversity, the knower, the knowledge, and the object of knowledge, on the basis of the analogy that the ocean and the waves are non-different? Vasistha replied, if that is accepted, then there is no defect in division, though the truth is that the reality is one indivisible consciousness. In other words, we can talk in terms of division, but with the understanding that there's no such thing. Ram said, Lord, in whom does ego sense arise, and who experiences this world appearance or illusion? The ego sense makes no sense whatsoever. The ego sense is nonsense. It's like a ripple on water, or a more like a whirlpool, which has this powerful sucking force. It sucks consciousness into ignorance. Vasistha replied, the conviction in the reality of the object of experience alone is bondage. It is enough to know that the object does not exist. Since consciousness is all, there is neither bondage nor liberation. So it's enough to know that the object does not exist. This is what we have to inquire into. We have to see that objects, things, have no independent material or substantial existence. And you can inquire into this however you like, but simply understanding in terms of your underlying sensations. We have sensations which we describe as resistance. This is our sensation of touch. And actually, if you can rest in touch, then this is reality. If you can be in touch, it's actually this that is going on all the time. And it's from this we build notions of an external reality. So that's one way of approaching it.